Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
I'm having a great Monday, Megs. How about you?
I am having a fantastic Monday, and we are here to finally talk some NBA basketball, Caden. Of course, our weekly episode. Let's hop right into it because the Nuggets have only played 2 games since our last pod.
Yeah, and surprisingly, both those games have been without Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
Who's out for personal
Undisclosed reasons. Yeah.
Just undisclosed. So who knows what's going on? Hopefully nothing bad.
Yeah.
But these 2 games will come to show you because they played some very injury-riddled teams these past 2 games. And it's come to show you how badly the Nuggets need Nikola Jokic. So on Friday they played the Pelicans in their first NBA Cup game, which we'll get to later in the episode discussing the NBA Cup. And they lost to the Pelicans by 7, where, they are probably the most injury-riddled team in the entire association right now.
Yeah.
And you would think with all these injuries, Jamal Murray would step up his game. He's looked worse. He's averaging less points. And that Pelicans game was great. Great first half by MPJ. He had 20 in the first half, 4 threes. I think he scored 3 points in the second half. That's not what you can do. Dario Saric has been getting a lot more minutes on. He's not playing bad. He's doing kind of what he needs to do. But Jamal, who you would think without Jokic should be putting up a lot more shots, he's taking less shots, making less shots, and just being a complete non-factor for the Nuggets.
And Caden, here's the thing about Jamal Murray. It's been 3 years now where we've been waiting for him to get going in the regular season.
Yeah.
To be consistent in the regular season. Because playoff Murray shows up, but the rest of the time, throughout the rest of the year, when you need him,
he's 18 to 20 points.
in the backstretch, to help preserve a 1 seed last year where they blew that out the water. For him to not be consistent enough as a scorer this late in his career, Caden, where he's had the experience, he's had the time, you should have a consistent shot develop now, which he hasn't sometimes in the playoffs. We've seen the burst, which makes it more frustrating.
And we'll see it in a couple game stretch here and there.
But the consistency is just not there. And, Jamal Murray needs to figure something out. Caden.
Jamal Murray really does. And then even just last night, so Sunday night, they play at Memphis, who's without John Morant. They just got Desmond Bane back, but there's still no John Morant. And you lose by 15 to the Grizzlies. You try to make a little bit of a comeback in the fourth, let it slip away. You're missing, the three-pointer's obviously still the problem. You're missing your open threes, especially big swing spots. In that game, against the Grizzlies, you cut it down to 11. You're on your little bit of an 18-5 extended run. You get an open 3 after a stop, brick. You get another stop, though, another open 3 in the corner for Saric, brick. Especially when you have these games without Jokic, we have to have the role player step up. Especially because Aaron Gordon is out too right now as well. So you're missing your two starting front court players, which is really bad, especially when your front court includes the best player in the world by far and away. But you need these role players to start stepping. Christian Brown's still doing good. Sadly, the streak is over. Against the Grizzlies, he finished a bucket short of going over. So hey, still
jinxed him.
I jinxed him. I talked about him 2 straight weeks.
Yeah.
So that is not true. I did not jinx him.
Well, the second time the jinx heard you and it got to him.
He only had 13. CB's still playing good. We still need that 3-point shot to develop more, obviously.
Yes.
Strother's starting to look good. He's what we need off the bench especially for the 3-point shot.
I was going to say, for him to find that shot and start to get the rhythm down is going to be essential for the Nuggets. Because, Caden, right now, it looks like they're going to need a trade for a shooter if they don't figure out someone.
Especially because of how bad their bench unit is. Yeah.
Yes.
The one, shining, moment with that bad Memphis game was Julius Randle. He finished with 19 points, which, really kind of kept him close. He had some good shots in there. So, really, hopefully, we need Jokic to come back. They play against the Grizzlies again for their next NBA Cup game. And we need Jokic back. And because AG is obviously still going to be out another couple weeks. And once he gets back, it's really going to help gel the team back to good. But even without AG, if you have Jokic, P. Watt's good at sliding into the 4. And, he's been putting up good numbers with Jokic there. You need your big man who can score at will, pass, everything. You just need him.
Most definitely, Kid. I don't think there's too much more to add to that. We're just going to have to wait and see. That's a time thing. That's what's kind of frustrating about this early first couple months of the NBA. Really don't know what's going to go on. Teams are still gelling. People are finding their shots. Guys are injured. It's a chaos. But, Caden, there is a team you want to talk about.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, though, the Magic, obviously they went down big, like we talked about, with the big Paolo injury, who's They're saying hopeful now to return around Christmas time, which should be big for them. But even then, since Pal's been injured, they're still winning ball games. They're 8-6. They've been winning at home, especially, which is really good. They're 6-0 at home to start the year. And those are just a couple of players I want to highlight for them who's been stepping up, especially since this injury. Like Franz Wagner, he's obviously, you pay him the big contract this offseason.
Good veteran, yeah.
You pay him the $200 million contract. You expect him to be really good. And in the month of November, since Powell's been hurt, he's been stepping up and carrying the team. He's averaging just short of 25 points per game since the injury on good efficiency. So he's been able to bolster that offense. Then you have another dude who gave a big contract to, about $150 million, in Jalen Suggs, who's really, you don't expect much offensively, but
the production
and the defense is really what you're signing for. But since right now he's averaging 15 points for the season. Since Palagard, he got a new career high. He had a 28-point game. He's had a couple 19, 17, 15-point games. He's finally stepping up into that role offensively. He's making your shots. He's still that great lockdown defender that you really signed him to be.
Caden, especially in the Eastern Conference, that's going to be open, with those lower teams. And especially, the Magic, obviously Boncaro being hurt is not what they wanted. But I think best case scenario is right now, as long as they stay, around that 500 mark, stay consistent enough that when they get him back, they can make a real push in January, February.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, as long as, you're Franz, Jalen Suggs, I mean, even like an Anthony Black who's getting extended minutes now, Giga Batadze, like, you need them to keep playing the way they're playing right now. So when Paolo comes back, as long as you can stay afloat, especially, like you said, in the weak Eastern Conference, all you're going to need is like 45 wins to make the playoffs. So if you can stay about 500 until that Christmas time, start of the new year, you get your all-star in Paolo Banchero back, you can really set that team up to make another top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Most definitely. Staying in the Eastern Conference.
This could be a big Eastern Conference episode. We mentioned them last week with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, they are still undefeated. They are 15-0, which ties the second longest undefeated streak to start in NBA history. And now, though, because they beat the Sixers, beat the Bulls, and then, beat the Hornets since then. So, nice 15-0 start. So, you guys will be seeing this Wednesday morning, but
we're filming this on Monday.
We're filming this Monday. So, on that Tuesday night, they face their toughest challenge of the year. They're at Boston to face the Celtics, which should be, right now, it's the clash between the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. And, the way the Cavs are playing, I've heard some people say, maybe just get the loss, get out the way. I'm like, hell no.
No.
Just keep winning, do your things. Obviously, it's early, so you don't need to, push too hard to get a win.
Yeah,
a lot of
basketball.
Yeah, which it seems like that's what they've been doing. They've been able to win easily because their defense is still one of the top defenses in the NBA. And then, Donovan Mitchell's playing really good. Darius Garland's averaging over 20 points right now. Evan Mobley's averaging about 19. So, the whole team's playing well. And now, you get your toughest challenge of the year in the Celtics, which obviously everyone knows the Celtics. What the Celtics I do want to mention? Peyton Pritchard. He's finally getting these more extended minutes, not just garbage time. Obviously, everyone knows he's a half-court shot specialist. The best half-court shooter in NBA history.
That's ridiculous.
But he's come in, he's getting real minutes off the benches here, and he is lights out from 3. He's shooting about 40% from 3, getting close to 13 to 15 points a game. He's really what's rounding out this Celtics bench and keeping them as, even though their whole starting unit is disgusting. He's really helping this bench unit stay as one of the top teams in the East.
And that depth helps, kid.
Yeah, you need good depth, especially if you have these championship aspirations.
Yes.
So if you can slide out your Derek White, Drew Holiday, or something like that with a Peyton Pritchard, who they're not going to obviously defend like those two, but a way to drain 3 after 3 after 3.
Keep
you going offensively. Yeah, it's great for them. This last team I want to talk about, though, in the East, before we get to the NBA Cup, talk about that a little bit, is the Milwaukee Bucks, who are still really bad.
Horrible.
As we're recording this right now, they're down 1 to the Rockets with less than a minute left. Right now, they're 4-9, 12th in the Eastern Conference. And, I think it comes down to their defense, which was, last year you saw their defense start to take a fall, but especially this year, they're 18th in the league in defensive points per game. They're giving up about 114 a game defensively, which is not great, especially when the top teams, like Orlando, like we just talked about, is the top team in defensive, only giving up 102.5 a game. And when you look at a lot of these top teams defensively, it's a lot of the Eastern Conference teams. So when you have the Bucks, who are supposed to be one of these premier offensive teams with Giannis, Dame, and all them, you can't be faltering on defense when every other team you're playing in the Eastern Conference is one of these premier defenses.
And Caden, and what it comes down to strictly and most fundamentally is effort. And that's what Giannis Antetokounmpo said about his team. He spoke, to the media saying that these guys just look like they don't want to be here. They're not showing up. They're not giving 100% effort. They're not, putting it all on the line defensively. Yep. And if you're not going to do that and your offense isn't going to be, ignited enough to keep you in games, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, because obviously Giannis is still carrying the offense, averaging about 33 points a game.
Yes.
Dame, though, is still kind of like, you thought last year would just be the season where he starts finding his footing and figuring it out. He's still the efficiency's going down with him. He's still struggling here in Milwaukee, which, I mean, it's tough to see. I love Dame. I still hate him for 2019, but other than that, I still like Dame, and it's good when he does well in my eyes.
I agree, Caden. But what has also been going on this last week that we mentioned on the last pod specifically, NBA in-season tournament. How are we looking with that so far? Give us a rundown.
Courts still absolutely
atrocious. Yeah,
I don't know whose bright idea it was to let's make the big neon ugly as nobody wants to look at their TV screen for more than 30 seconds.
It's rough.
Yeah. So right here though, we're gonna go through every little group and we're gonna give our predictions for who we think is gonna come out on top and what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Western groups. You have Group A, which is the Rockets, Trailblazers, T-Wolves, Kings, and Clippers. Where the Rockets and Blazers are both 1-0. You have your T-Wolves at 1-1. Kings and Clippers are both 0-1. Who do you think will come out on top in this one to make the little playoff in-season thing?
Yeah, Caden, this one's kind of iffy, right? Because it's one game.
Yep.
But I think the Timberwolves would have early on were my kind of thought on a team that comes out. Being 1-1, I mean, it's not over for them.
No, not at all.
I still like their chances to end up, regrouping, bouncing back, and I think potentially they make it up.
See, I think I'm gonna go with the Rockets.
Okay.
Especially they're on a
young firing Rockets, baby.
They're on a 5-game win streak right now. We'll see how this game with the Bucks ends up. But yeah, I mean, Alperen Sengun before tonight had 3 straight triple doubles. He's playing really well. Jalen Green's playing really well. Amen Thompson's doing good. I mean, Tari Eason's shooting the ball well. They're just a well-rounded group of young players. And I think it will come down to them or Minnesota in this group. I just think the Rockets, if they can, because when they play the T-Wolves, I think that game will decide probably who comes out on top in this group. I think the Rockets should be able to, come out in this, and then I wouldn't say they're going to go far probably in the playoffs, but who knows? I mean, the Pacers and the Lakers were in the finals last year, so who really knows with this thing? But
it's in season.
But I do like the Rockets, especially how they've been playing to start the season.
All right, next grouping.
Next group, we have the West Group C, where it's just the Warriors, Pelicans, Mavs, Grizzlies, and Nuggets. Where the Warriors are 2-0, Pelicans 1-0, Mavs, Grizzlies, and Nuggets are all 0-1.
Yeah, Caden, I think there's a clear, team that's going to make it out of this group, and I think that's the Golden State Warriors.
Unless Nikola Jokic comes back.
Unless Nikola Jokic comes back, mysteriously, if he pops in. But the way the Nuggets have been playing, those other teams just don't stack up to the way that
for sure.
Golden State Warriors team has come out firing. We mentioned them, on the pod last week, so I'm not going to waste our time continuing to talk about that team, but I think they are the ones.
Yeah, it's got to be. Unless Jokic comes back, let's say tomorrow against the Grizzlies, and you can get a big win, get back in there. It really will change things. But the Warriors are looking great. Pelicans are obviously really injured. Grizzlies are without Ja for the next couple weeks, so he'll miss all the group play. And I mean, the Mavs are interesting. They haven't been able to close games to start this year, and it seems like it's become more evident through these first couple games of the season that Luka is a terrible defender. He's just getting blown by.
They're attacking Luka. They know. They know. It's on film. Once it's on film, you're going to get exploited.
I mean, and it's been known, obviously, that Luka has been a bad defender. It just seems like they're exploiting it a lot more to start this season. Now, our last group in the West, we have West Group B, which is the Thunder, Lakers, Suns, Spurs, and Jazz. Where your Thunder are 1-0, Lakers are 1-0, Suns 1-1, Spurs 0-1, Jazz 0-1. It's a weak group.
Caden, this is probably, the weakest group in the West. And honestly, I'm just going to ride with, the team that's got the experience in this tournament. That did, won it last year with the Los Angeles Lakers. I think you ride with, Anthony Davis and aging LeBron to do enough to, propel them out of there.
Yeah, it's an interesting group. Obviously, the Chet injury is huge.
It's huge.
He's like all these other like big injuries that we've seen with star players, it's only like 2-3 weeks, then they'll be reevaluated. Chet isn't going to get reevaluated for 8 to 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're without their star, all-star, DPOY caliber center in Chet.
Yes.
Which is not good for them. Yeah, you have the Lakers. I'm also interested, like, I could see the Spurs actually.
That's also
coming
a
out
good
of
point.
here.
With Victor Wembanyama.
The way
that's
he's
a
been playing,
sneaky good team, kid.
Because, like, none of these teams, except for the Lakers, I mean, the Suns obviously are going to be without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and
the Jazz
Suns, we're not even.
And the Jazz are the worst team in the NBA.
Yes.
But then, yeah, the Spurs. Wemby's been playing lights out these last couple weeks. Had that 50-point game. He's been making about 4 threes a game these last couple weeks. Chris Paul's been playing well. Like, you get Devin Vassell back from injury now. They're an interesting team. I do think, I mean, obviously the Thunder are still the Thunder. They're going to be able to win games, but losing Chet's really big, especially when you play like a Lakers or Spurs, where you're going to have AD and Wemby down there. What are you really going to do, especially because Hardenstein's not going to be back till Christmas? So, I mean, bold pick, maybe the Spurs, but I do think I'd go. I see your Lakers pick. I like that. So I think Lakers or Spurs probably will come out on this one.
I like it, kid.
Now we'll move on to our little Eastern Conference here, where it's the East Group A, Magic, Knicks, Nets, Hornets, Sixers, where the Magic and Knicks are both 2-0 to start. The Nets are 0-1, Hornets are 0-1, and the Sixers are 0-2.
Yeah, Caden, this group's obviously the two teams at the top are going to be the ones that are kind of going out. As you know, rocky as they were to start, I like the way this Knicks team has been playing as of late, Caden. I think they're starting to figure it out. Of course, we talked about last week, they have a lot of new pieces that they're starting to work out. So I think this will be a good confidence booster, and I think they get out of this.
I do agree with you. I do think the Knicks should be the one to come. I mean, even though we were just talking about how good the Magic have been playing without Paolo, you still without Paolo, and yeah, the Knicks still have Cat, Brunson, McHale, OG. Like, they're a really good starting unit.
That's definitely.
And I mean, even like the Nets aren't good. The Hornets aren't good, and the Sixers, even though they've got Embiid back, he still looks hampered from that injury. He's obviously not playing back-to-backs.
And it's Embiid.
And yeah, it's Embiid. So yeah, I do think, the Knicks will probably come out, but the Magic could surprise me, may come out. Yeah. They could also maybe steal, like that little wild card spot, the little extra slot in there. But yeah, I do think it'll easily come down to those two, but I like you with the Knicks. East Group B, though, has the Pistons, Bucks, Heat, Pacers, and Raptors. Where the Pistons are 2-0, Bucks 1-0, Heat 1-1, Pacers 0-1, and the Raptors are 0-2.
Yeah, Caden, this is the ugly group of the
East.
I think, both sides have that group that's meh.
Yeah.
And this is that one. I think, Pistons being 2-0 automatically gives them a good advantage.
Yep.
And I just think with that, lead, with that, how weak that group is, I think they can maintain it and ride it out.
It would be interesting to see the Pistons come out and kind of like play for something like that. And they've been looking a lot better, obviously, they started this year. Just tonight, Jalen Duren had 15 points, 22 boards. Cade Cunningham's obviously looking good. But, I mean, the Bucks are still they should be. I mean, good. Yeah, who knows?
They should.
Yeah, but who the hell knows?
The way they started off, Kid, I don't.
And the Heat, Jimmy Butler's injured right now, so you're kind of not sure with them.
That's why.
And the Pacers, they should be the team to come out of this group.
You would think
they the way the Bucks have been playing. The Pacers should be. You don't know what you're getting from night to night with them. Tyrese will have 20, 10, and 8.
And we talked about that as well earlier.
8, 6, and 4.
Yeah.
Benedict Mathurin has been like their best scorer this year, and it's a lot of pressure for Benedict Mathurin of all players. Like, they've been weirdly really inconsistent to start this season, which is just, it seems like unlike them, especially from what we saw out of their crazy good offense last year. Now, to close out the East, we have Group C, which is probably the best group in the East. You have the Hawks, Cavs, Celtics, Wizards, and Bulls. Where the Hawks are 2-0, Cavs are 1-0, Celtics 0-1, Wizards 0-1, Bulls 0-1.
Yeah, kid. Obviously, Celtics, Cavaliers is going to determine a big portion of this. The time this recording comes out, I may sound dumb, but I'm going to go with the Cavaliers. I think they beat Boston. I think they ride that momentum, Tuesday night. But if they lost, oh well. Even if they lose, they'll still come out. They can still come out. I trust this Cavaliers team right now. Right now, this is the team that's been consistent.
Yep.
They're the only ones who, don't have a million different question marks as of now. So I think, that's a safe pick, but we're riding with Cavaliers. Yeah,
but I mean, when you look at this Hawks team, though, too, they won in Boston the other night to, open up group play. Yeah. They were able to win on the Jalen Johnson buzzer beater, basically, without Trae Young. So they're kind of interesting. They're a little sneaky team in here. Yeah, I do agree with you. It's going to come down to the games between the Celtics and the Cavs. If the Cavs win this game, that'll happen by the time you guys watch this. I do think the Cavs will come out on top. But if the Celtics win and they're now both teams are 1-1, the Hawks could find a way to get out of this group.
I don't hate that, Caden. I'm glad you brought that up. But that is all we have for this week. NBA, any final thoughts or comments, Caden?
I just need Nikola Jokic to come. That's all just come back, Jokic. We need you.
Nikola Jokic, where are you? Please, come home. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.